Yo, what up YouTube? Kyle here for Boss TCG, your home for competitive TCG news and content. And today we are going to be doing the first podcast for Lost for Game, a Pokemon TCG podcast. Today we don't have a co-host. We're actually actively looking for a co-host. So if anybody's looking to be on a weekly competitive TCG podcast, you don't have to be the top player in the world, but you do have to have some knowledge on the game. And if you guys want to be on Boss for Game, a Pokemon TCG podcast, just email me at bosstcgmedia@gmail.com. Put in the subject line that you want to be on Boss for Game, a Pokemon TCG podcast. Put that in the subject line and we will set up a Discord. So that really actually is for almost any game out there. We're building this media company, so we're actually looking for podcast talents, on camera talent. So if you guys want to be a part of the growing of this media company, email me. Say you want to do One Piece. We already have our Battle Spirits podcast team. It's me and Daniel Schmidt. We are looking for One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, a second Pokemon, and possibly a third, because I would like to step away from Pokemon. Even though I love this game, I don't want to be doing the content every week. I'll be doing a lot of editing, so kind of want to step away and, maybe two of you guys are really good. We'll do a 3-person podcast until you guys feel comfortable and kind of bounce off each other. Until we find the right combination. So we're doing, like I said, Pokemon, we're looking for seconds. Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Lorcana. Lorcana is going to be a great game that we want to bring. I think the competitive scene will be very close to Pokemon. We want to bring One Piece, Flesh and Blood, Dragon Ball, and I know I'm missing one. Dragon Ball Super card game, which I think is called Fusion World and Masters. I know there's one more that we have to go through. But if you have a card game that has a pretty healthy, pretty good competitive scene, hit us up at bosstcgmedia@gmail.com. I'll also put that in the description below. So, but to get into this episode, we're going to be talking about Worlds and what decks we think are going to be successful, or what decks I think is going to be successful. We're going to be going over decks that were successful last year and see if they can see success again this year. Big one is Flying Pikachu Arceus. We're going to talk about next season, the preview for that, all the events coming up for the 2023-2024 season. My prediction on where Worlds is going to be next year. And last but not least, my 2022-2023 Pokemon season. That one's going to be very short. Even though I went to a bunch of events, we can really talk about that. So, for me this week was pretty crazy. Prepping 2 shows is a lot while, building a media company. But, it's been busy prepping for the kid to go back to school. He is going into 8th grade, so it's super exciting. A lot of stuff happening this week. Built out templates for scripts for the podcast, kind of keep me and then any other person that is going to be doing podcasts for us. Keep them on track, kind of give them roundabout times to hit stuff. What else did I do this week? Going to get a haircut before we do the podcast for Battle Spirits Saga. That's Core Draw Refresh. That's actually coming out tomorrow, but we're recording it today, so hopefully get that done before the Yokohama Worlds opening ceremony. And what else? We're going to go get haircuts, so we're both looking fresh and so clean. Did a bunch of stuff, orientation for the kid for school. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. No, really excited about Obsidian Flames. We're going to be going over that set in next week's episode because Worlds is, like I said, only a couple hours away. So let's get into the first topic. We're going to talk about Worlds in Yokohama, Japan. Super bummed I wasn't able to get my Worlds invite this year. Yeah, you guys can tell because I'm at my house. I'm at my house. And that's why I'll be watching it from home all 3 days. It's kind of weird when it's World starts on a Friday, but you're watching it the day before, but it's still the same time. But it's kind of weird because they're 12, 13 hours ahead. So they're the next day when World starts. So it's always, when you have events like Worlds, like OCIC, like EUIC, and not so much Latin America, but when you have large events like this that you're watching streams for, and there's such a substantial difference in time, it's always difficult when you go off of your sleep schedule. And the big thing is, Japan is the birthplace of Pokemon, but they're having their first World Championships in Japan. So it's going to be one of the best. I can't wait to see what the stage looks like, because every World stage has been just so grand. Such a beautiful, set piece. So I'd like to really see what aspects of Japan they put into the stage this year. It's one of my the biggest reveals that I look forward to every Worlds. I just started going to NEIC. Last year was my first time competing. This year, everybody knows it was almost impossible to get a spot into the main event. Especially, I wasn't really paying attention too much to Pokemon towards the end of the season. I was paying attention to Battle Spear Saga, understanding that game, getting ready for that Grand Open, which is like a regionals, and I missed the sign-up days. I was actually 17 hours late to the last registration, and I thought they weren't going to be opening up anymore for NEIC, so it sucked, but did attend as a spectator, and I missed the length of what NEIC was last year, but I really enjoyed coming into the venue hall this year. Their little walkway with the stuff from, I think it was Paldea, on each side. It felt like you're walking into the world, and it was massive this year. And we're going to have probably close to 3,000 people next year at NEIC. It's going to be insane. But yeah, let's get back to Worlds. So, the reason why I went on the tangent is they do great on the ICs, but Worlds, IC stages, but Worlds is just a different animal, and it's one of the most exciting parts of Worlds for me. The meta breakdown, or my meta prediction, is we're going to see really barely any 3 prize decks. I'd say we're looking at probably 15% of the meta having a VMAX. I think the most prominent deck that's going to be in the meta is going to be Duraludon. Duraludon is really good against Lugia if players are expecting to see Lugia. It's really good against it because of the ability of not being able to be damaged by Pokemon special energies. And that's all that Lugia really has, is special energy attachment. Now, somebody can go crazy and add some basic energies into their deck, but I don't think World's competitors are going to do that. You're going to see that more at the regional level. But I can see maybe, I would say max out maybe 18% of the meta having 3 prize Pokemon as their main attackers and main support in the deck. We'll probably see some Umbreon action going on in the World's meta. I think just having a searchable card that you don't have to use support for turn to be able to bring up somebody for either let's lock something in the active, or we need to get the final 1, 2, 3 prizes. Other than Umbreon, I really don't see a lot of 3 prizes coming in. I actually see a lot more 1 prizers. I think we're gonna see a resurgence of Lost Box. I think Lost Box actually might be the large Lost Box variant. So Sablezard, Lost Kyogre, and if I was at Worlds, if I was a good enough player to make Worlds, I'd be playing Lost Box with Ditto. And I'll put a link to, I don't know where I'm going to put it, but I'm going to get my deck list of what I'd be playing at Worlds, and that's basically close to a Sablezard list, but take out the Zard, put in Greninja, and put in 2 Dittos, and then a Mimikyu with Worst Gift, which allows you to, every damage counter on all your Pokemon, on your opponent's Pokemon, it does 10 times that amount of damage. So you're doing, if you have 20 damage counters on it, you're dropping 200 damage with a single prizer. So it's a good end. And then we're also playing 1 copy of Zamazenta, the one that hits for, was it 220 damage, 200 damage? But everybody's playing the metal one. Because Ditto allows you to copy, you have up to 4 Sableye if you need it. So you're swinging 480 damage throughout the game because you're hitting 120 each time. 90% of the time, that's going to get you a win in the Pokemon trading card game. It lets you take all 6 of your prizes. So that's my list, but I think Sablezard is actually, because it's so consistent, because you can set it up and hit those large numbers with Radiant Charizard, I think that you're going to see that resurgence. But I can see Kyogre as well being very damaging to the meta and destroying a lot of decks in its path. And I could see a Lost Box, maybe 2, making it to the end of the second day, so top 8. I could see them maybe. I could see a world where it sneaks into the finals, because Lost Box is just so consistent, and being able to spread damage and get 2 prize, 3 prize Pokemon ready for knockouts. It's not out of the realm of reason for it to make the finals. The big question is, and you guys can tell me in the comment section below, if it's after the Worlds, we'll talk more about it, but who thinks that Mew could actually get the biggest win right before it gets rotated out? I'm pretty sure it'll be rotating in this upcoming rotation. But who could see Mew VMAX? And I think the Fusion Mew build is the most consistent, the best one. Fusion Mew making it to top 8, even making it to the finals. I can see a lot of these decks, depending on how the meta shakes out, making it to finals. Mew, if there is a lot of non-dark decks in the meta, I think it can still take out most of the field. If there's not a lot of Baxcalibur, I can see Mew taking it that way. I think Baxcalibur is a terrible matchup for it. If you don't get a hot start. But then, like I said, Lost Box. If there's a lot of Gardevoir, I can see Lost Box destroying Guardy if there's a lot of it out there. But then I can also see the standard Lugiolus and the standard Duraludon list both making it, depending on hidden lights, guys. I'm flashing here. I'm flashing. There we go. We back off the flashes. Arm hit the lighting controls. But yeah, no, that kind of puts us to the last part of the world's prediction, or the technically topic 1 and 2 are kind of interchangeable. I think a tier 3 deck wins Worlds this year. And I think Arceus Flying Pikachu something is a tier 3 deck because it needs the right meta to be successful. But I think it can. But like I said, I can also see at some point in time a BDIF, or when it was considered a BDIF, like Urshifu being the winning list at Worlds. But what I really enjoyed from the leading up to Worlds is I really enjoyed the Pokemon Direct. I want to say it was Nintendo Direct, that's why I had to pause there for a second. But the Pokemon Direct, there was a lot of stuff in it that I enjoyed. It's mostly for the video game stuff. But they did reveal a new Worlds promo. And let me bring that up real quick, the Worlds promo. But it basically says that your Psyducks take 1 less energy to retreat. Let's go with, I think it's like Paradise something. Let's see. They have a Worlds big. I'll just put Pokemon Worlds. That's all I put. Let's see. Promo. You guys are seeing the non-prep work. Paradise Resort is the promo. So it says, the retreat cost of each of your side deck in play, both yours and yours opponents, is colorless less. And if I remember right, all the legal side decks have 1 retreat cost. So basically free retreat. I don't see this making it into every deck, because what you can do is just play. Why am I blanking on the name? The card right now that gives everybody 1 less retreat, all basics, and that's what is that now? Let me look at it. This is not sponsored by Poke Collector, guys. I promise you that. We are in. It is. I think it's a Scarlet and Violet base. Let's go here and let's go down to. Yes, very very prepared, guys. Very prepared for this this podcast. I just wanted to get it out so you guys had something to listen to either during or before, if you guys can do some of the first. Wasn't Paldea Evolved? It might have been in this one, in Crown Zenith. Where are you? But it's the one that gives basic Pokemon 1 less retreat cost, which is, it's just a better card, to be honest. Paldea Evolved is in Paldea. It is it this one? Stage 1. God, why am I blanking on the name of the card? That's two this time, guys. That's two. Let's see. Not Mezagoza. Why can't they just make this easy to find? Mezagoza is not the right. Beach Court. There it is. God, they need to be like some of these other card games and put certain cards in the same area. Label them the same. Put Mezagoza right next to Beach Court. That's my opinion. But yeah, I think we're gonna see Beach Court more than the promo being played. But it's still super cool. I'm definitely gonna have to pick one up when the prices drop a little bit, just to have one for my collection. I do really enjoy collecting some of the World's promos. Champions Festival is one of, in my opinion, the best one. And why are we not? Where's my script? This is just, yeah, guys. This is a shit show. Not gonna lie. Yeah, this is definitely not a kid-friendly podcast, guys. We are gonna be cursing when we can. So yeah, they at the Pokemon Direct they showed really the only thing for TCG. Well, there was two things. One, it wasn't made for my demographic as a Pokemon player, but I might still watch it just to see. I might enjoy it. Who knows? But yeah, no, there was the promo for Worlds. They also showed off all the swag for Worlds, which I'm gonna have to hit up my buddy Jose Moreno, who might win Worlds, and get that jacket off him. That gold jacket with the Yokohama on the back is so insane. And just maybe the sleeves too. Those might be the things I might have to hit Jose up about and then buy them off him because they're super cool. And the bag, I've never been a big fan of the backpack. I have a backpack that I've taken to every one of my events and I got it, and I've had it for probably 5 or 6 years now. And I don't see myself using it. But if I ever made Worlds, it's probably something I would keep because I do like me some bags. But I really am excited to see what country makes Worlds or wins Worlds this year. Last year was the Netherlands, I believe. I know Japan's had a ton of winners, but I don't think there's been a U.S. winner in a while because I don't think either Szymanskis have won Worlds. I'm not sure because Henry Brand's Australia, but Tord Redcliffe has been on a tear this season with his. He completed the circuit of winning all the ICs, so he just has wins Worlds now. But I think Tord could win this. So I think Tord's from Sweden or the Netherlands. Oh God, here we go again. Here we go. Re-prepping up. Let's go. Limitless TCG. Right here. Let's go to Tord. Not card. He would be cool to have a card, but we're not looking at it. Tord Redcliffe. Live. He is from country of the Norway. So he's from Norway. So I actually think Tord, just with the role he's had this year, and I actually think I don't think this year really he takes a hit on his legacy, but I can now see if other players sneaking into the conversation to be the best of the modern era. And maybe we just say Tord was the best prior to COVID, and then after COVID, he's very strong, but maybe another player like Azul will sneak in there and be considered the best player in the world because even Reagan's just consistent. I think he has like 5 or 6 top 8s this year at events. So I could see Tord winning, and if Tord doesn't win Worlds, I think this really kind of puts this conversation if he is the best to ever play the game of Pokemon. Because yes, winning ICs are huge events. Winning regionals are now become huge events. He's European, so it's not, you don't have as big of regionals as you do in the States, but he's come over here and won. He won Peoria. So, but does this mean that he just can't get it done at the biggest world or the biggest event of Pokemon every year, which is the World Championships? And if he doesn't make it to the finals, I think he takes a hit in his legacy and lets somebody else sneak in there to be considered the best in the world. Because for me, I think Tord is the best in the world. He's like the Magnus Carlsen of Pokemon. So, but Magnus was a world champion. Magnus was considered the best in the world for a long time before he got his world championship. Was like Tord, but was able to keep considered the best player ever to play the game of chess. Was able to get a world championship. Now, can we have Tord do this? Can Tord win worlds? I think if he doesn't place higher than the top 4, it kills it. Kills his chance to be considered the best in the world anymore, unless he comes back next year, the year after, and wins it. But I think if he tops 2, locks him in the best player in the world, best player of the modern generation or modern era of Pokemon. But if he gets to top 8 and loses his top 8 match, I think we have to have a conversation of who we can consider the best player in the world. Now let's move on to our next topic. We did the first and the second one, talk about worlds. Going back to the Pokemon Direct, the anime show that they have with the little girl getting into Pokemon League at her school and stuff like that. I think that's like that's aged for like the 4 to 7, 8-year-olds. Not a 33-year-old man. I don't think it's targeted towards us. I'm gonna probably check it out just to look at it, but I really do like that they are implementing something for a way younger audience that is only segmented for that younger audience. I don't think, because when Pokemon Show came out, you could be 5 or 6, watch the show and love it, and then you could be 13, 14, 15 and watch it and love it. I think this is the TCG's Cocomelon. It's not that young, but I think it can capture that same audience. So who do I think wins Worlds? I really think Tord can do it this year. He's had success all season. I think he's positioned himself to win Worlds. He knew he was going to get to Worlds. So I think really a lot of his focus this year has been prepping for Worlds and getting his first World title in the Masters division. Next, we want to talk a little bit about the schedule for next season and about what I think is the best plan of action. So they raised Pokemon regionals. Okay. So they raised the requirements for the World Championship next year, I think, to like 600 points to where is it at? Where's the World Championship, League Cups, events, International Championships? Why don't they tell me? But I think it was 600. But if I remember right, it was 600 points up right here. Masters Division in the United States and Canada, which we have a lot of events, but they didn't, I don't think, put enough regionals. At least they haven't announced all of them yet, because you're raising it from I think it was 500 points for this year's Worlds to get to Worlds. You're raising it 100 points. You're raising it like 20% of you're raising like 20% to get your Worlds invite for next season. I know they added if you win a regionals, if you come first or second in an IC, that you're gonna get your Worlds invite. So you could hypothetically go to a regionals, win the regionals, go to one, then one only, go to the regionals, win the regionals, and you don't have to do anything the rest of the season. Which is like there's maybe 25 special events. Oh, and this includes special events as well. There's only 25 special events and regionals in the season, maybe 30 for the whole world. So you're going to say, that's how 30 people are going to get their invite automatically. That doesn't count if they win multiple, so you're having less people. you're giving everybody equal opportunity there, yes. And then an IC, there's 4 years, so you're saying 8 people from that can automatically get their Worlds invite. And then those people are probably going to be regional winners. More than likely regional winners. I don't like that Pokemon increased the value to 600 points. Yes, they could do like they did this year. I believe they dropped it down to 350 to get your Worlds invite. And I know a couple of my buddies, that's how they got to Worlds. But if we have this mark that we have to hit, I mean, yes, shoot for the stars, and then you might land on the moon. Yes, of course, 100%. But we at least know where the moon is. We don't know where they're going to drop it down to. That's the big thing. It's going to be a limiting factor for a lot of players, and it's going to ward off a lot of players that would go to multiple regionals, because now they have to go to 6 regionals. Now, if they were planning to go to, okay, I'm going to push myself, I'm going to go to 4 regionals. Let's say that's what that player was going to. They're like, well, I need 600 points. So I need to have, 6, 8 of my league cups, I need them to be first place. Okay, yes, if you're going to be a Worlds competitor, you should have first places at most of your cups. Now, places like me and other very competitive areas, I live in between Tampa and Orlando. I call it the I-4 strip. And we have some of the best players in the world here. A lot of Worlds competitors. A couple of my friends are Worlds competitors, so it's hard to win League Cups. You basically have to wait for them to get all their League Cup and League Challenges, and then, yes, you might then have the normal competition for your skill level. If you're like an intermediate player, these guys, most people in my area, I got Reagan Retzloff in my area. I used to have Azul in my area. I used to have Raul in my area. You have Hunter Butler is in my area, playing at all these League Cups. So, yes, I'm okay with. I live in the area. If I really wanted to, cut down on the competitiveness of Pokemon for me, I could move. I could move to, Idaho, where it's an area where there's maybe 10 shops, but the player base for Pokemon isn't huge, so I could maybe get easy wins. Like, I could do that. So I choose to be here, so the competition isn't Pokemon's fault. But what Pokemon control is how many points it takes to get your Worlds invite. And I like the 500. I thought the 500 was a perfect amount. Who knows? Like, maybe they're trying to hit a certain number of people they want at Worlds, and this is what they're expecting, because we're getting more and more attendance at premier events, regionals, ICs. But I still think that Pokemon needs to stop having Worlds be as exclusive of an event for only a small group of players. And because Pokemon is becoming so big and there's so many people, you need to make it reachable for these players to keep wanting to play, because they could come in Pokemon, spend $2,000 on product, another $2,000 in the secondary market, and they've invested $4,000. They play for 2 years, they're gone. You're not getting any more business from them. The way I looked at it when I worked retail is, I worked for GameStop. They really pushed, hey, add-ons. If they bought a used Xbox 360, sell them a second controller. They also bought the 360. Add on, get them for their live membership, all that stuff. And the way I looked at it is, when they come in the store and they say, hey, I'm just here to buy an Xbox, I got games, all that stuff, or I'm going to be playing a free game online, I never pushed it. And the times I did, it bit me in the ass. It's one of those things that you don't push too hard in the beginning, and then they're going to come back for more and for years to come. And the people I didn't push became some of my best customers. So I think Pokemon needs to drop it back down to 500. I think it was a reasonable amount of championship points. I think it made sense. Even though I've never sniffed points, I was okay with the point total. I never felt upset. So we're going to go over. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 events up right now. And we're going to go over this. And I'm going to kind of talk about my plan. And if you are a Florida player, which events you should go to. Because I did travel a bunch last season. I played in Peoria, Salt Lake City, Arlington, Fort Wayne, Charlotte, and Knoxville. So I went to quite a few events. Didn't sniff points at all. I have a joke that I tell everybody, and you guys are now going to be privy to it. I have a better chance of sleeping with Beyonce and not getting killed by Jay-Z than sniffing points for Worlds. That's how I've the last 5 years that I've really pushed for points. That's basically how it's kind of turned out. And I think my best finish was like top 495. I think I was like 496th or 494th. I want to say it was at Knoxville. Nope, it wasn't Knoxville. It was Charlotte. Yeah, 495th I think I was. And yeah, it was competition's getting better. The newer players saying it's their first tournaments, they're getting a lot better. Coming into it, being prepped for it, so their locals are doing really well at doing that, and you can now tell the difference between a really prepped new player and hey, I just saw this regional and I don't know a lot of people in the community and I'm just going to go to it and play and meet people. You can now tell the difference between the two. But this year's schedule is Pittsburgh, September 8th through the 10th. I will be in Pittsburgh, but I will not be playing Pokemon. I will be at the Battle Spirits Saga Grand Open, which if you guys want to know more about Battle Spirits, we have a podcast that comes out we're trying to figure out a day. We're going to be doing it every Friday now. We'll be coming out every Friday. If you guys want to, hear about a new game, go over, it'll be popping up on your feed here if you subscribe. And you're able to understand that new game. But I'll be playing in the Battle Spirits Grand Open over in Monroeville. It's just like outside of Pittsburgh. But I'll be there the same weekend. If I end up scrubbing out of Battle Spirits, I might be going over to the Pokemon event the next day and playing in some side events. So you guys might see me there. Or you might see me around Pittsburgh if you're going to Pittsburgh. If you are, hit me up on this video or any video saying that you're going to be in Pittsburgh. We're actually putting a Facebook group together for Boss for Game. We're going to be doing that. So, yeah, Pittsburgh I will be at. Maybe not playing Pokemon, but maybe playing Pokemon. The next one is Peoria. This is my first event last year. I was supposed to go to Baltimore. Didn't get a chance. But I think it was around the same time. Actually, maybe it been a couple weeks, or it might be a week later, earlier or later than last year. But yeah, day 2 events is going to be doing that one. One of my favorite organizers to do events is day 2 events, and they're picking Peoria again. And now I don't have to fly to Chicago. I can fly straight into Peoria. So Pittsburgh, if you guys are flying, you can fly in and out of Pittsburgh. At least from Florida was pretty inexpensive. For me, I didn't want to wait an extra day, leave on Monday, because the Allegiant flights back were like 3 o'clock, and if I make the finals in Battle Spirits, even though it's $7,000, you don't get that immediately, and I'm not trying to miss my flight, so I'm flying out of Detroit the next day. But yeah, flying into Pittsburgh, it's gonna be super easy to fly in and out. Pokemon's really good about finding places that have airports within 15-20 minutes of the venue. Then the next, so that's September 8th through 10th. Then we got Peoria October 6th through the 8th. And that'll probably be my first Pokemon event. They actually announced the Grand Open or the Pro Tour. If you make the Pro Tour, it's in Europe. It's like, I want to say it's like 3 weeks after this. I think it's the same weekend as Toronto. So I'll be able to go to Peoria, guys. So super excited. Peoria was my first event last year. It'll be my first event this year. And then we got Sacramento, October 13th through the 15th. We're actually having 3 events in October. It's kind of insane. That one's in Sacramento, which is better than what was it last year? It wasn't Bakersfield, Fresno. Bigger airport, easier to get to, easy to fly into, and a lot of California people just drive to Sacramento. So flying to Sacramento, and I'm pretty sure East Coast to West Coast for that flight compared to everything else, and I want to say it's a little bit more expensive than like flying to LA, but it's cheaper than flying to San Francisco. So you could always find budget airlines. And we'll actually, I think next week's episode, we're going to go over talking about the best practices to book travel for events, and kind of planning out and how much you should budget and what yields you should have when it comes to going to these events for buying products, stuff like that. But Sacramento, then we got Toronto, which I will be hopefully in Amsterdam that weekend. That's October 27th through 29th. So we have 3 events in October. Basically every other weekend is there's 3 weekends in October, because you got Peoria, and then you got a weekend off. Then you got Sacramento, then you got a weekend off, and then you got Toronto. So all 3 of them, totally different parts of the country. Maybe Peoria and Toronto are pretty close, but still drive-wise, that's like a 7-hour drive. But love to see that there are multiple events in the same month. And especially if Pokemon's the only thing you do, it's a pretty good schedule for you. And then we don't have anything in November, which I think that's going to be our... let's see if there's anything for the international stuff. November, I think early November we're going to be seeing, that's when, because they haven't announced the regionals, the dates, or the international dates yet, but I think that'll be probably, if they're going to do it, I think it's going to be Latin America. So I think that'll be when that tournament is, and if the flights are cheap enough and I have the money, I might actually be going to my first international IC. Got my passport, got my COVID vaccines, so we are good to go there. Then we come back in December. We only have one in December. It's like a week or 2 before Christmas, and that's going to be in San Antonio, Texas, which is super weird. And at the end of the video, we'll kind of go over, or towards the end, after we go over the schedule, I think there's a reason why this is in San Antonio and not Dallas or Arlington, because I think Arlington, when we went, was a great venue. It was big enough. There was enough space for everybody, and I think they actually had room to grow in that venue. So I think there's a reason why it's San Antonio, but I could be wrong, and I'm probably wrong. 90% of the time I am wrong, guys. But it's fun to protect. And then beginning was the first week, or the first weekend of the year, January 5th to the 7th, we're going to Portland again, guys. I heard good things about Portland just as a city and traveling to. I heard the event wasn't the greatest, but we got new organizers to do that event, Gallery Games. So Gallery Games, you guys are under a microscope when it comes to the West Coast events. Then after that, at the end of January, we got Charlotte, which I think I'm going to go to Charlotte. I really enjoyed Charlotte last year. The food in the area is great. I really do like, what's that one? God, I forgot. It's a chain in like the South. Oh, I can't remember what it is. I'm not gonna look it up, but it's the venue was easy to get to, and it was just a blast all in all for me. Like I didn't do so. No, that's the one I did well. 495th, whatever I said it was. I think I had playing Pokemon. Charlotte was the best venue of the season for me playing it. But the city was just amazing to go to too. So I would say go to Charlotte if you can. Knoxville food is the best of the whole circuit in my opinion. I love me some bourbon. I love me some barbecue. So they hit both of them out of the park. Or is it whiskey? Is it whiskey or bourbon? No, bourbon is Kentucky. Whiskey. Memphis, no, it's not bourbon. Bourbon's Kentucky. Whiskey's Tennessee. So I'm sorry, and I'll have a bunch of buddies going to that one that are Salt Lake and Nashville, which I would love to see them move it to Nashville. Even though it's more expensive to go to, I really do enjoy. I want to have the experience of downtown Nashville. I've only done stuff around Nashville. But we do get to go to our Florida event. Oh, actually, wait, we got Vancouver. I will not be touching Vancouver unless I hit the lottery. It's just so expensive for me because it's the opposite. So it's like flying West Coast, but then you're flying out of the country. So Air Canada is just, it's like a $600 flight. As far as I've been able to find the last couple of years that I wanted to go to Vancouver because I've been wanting to see Vancouver. But it's just always way too expensive. It's expensive to stay there. Even if you're splitting with 4 or 5 buddies, you're still spending like $200 a person for a Airbnb or a hotel room. So, and especially if I'm going out of the country, I want to be there for 2 or 3 extra days to kind of experience it because you never know when you're going to go back. Then that Vancouver event is March 22nd to 24th. And then 3 weeks later, we got, is it 3 weeks? 2 or 3 weeks? 2 or 3 weeks later? I want to say it's 3 weeks. We got Orlando. And I didn't get to go last year for some events. Had some obligations came up very last minute that I had to go to. But I am always glad to have Orlando compared to Daytona. Orlando always is a bigger venue. They always have it AC'd properly. It just feels good to go to the convention center. When it comes to Daytona, when they have Daytona, the 4 times I've been, half the time they've had AC, or half the time they haven't had AC, and the other half the time the AC has been crap. And it's usually, because it's Florida, it's always at least a little warm. And then when you pack, we'll have like over 1,000 people at this, maybe 1,500. I think we had close to 1,600 at Orlando last year. You try to fit that in Daytona. It's expensive to stay in Daytona, but also it is. They're both scheduled for May. June usually is, end of June is usually NAIC, but I can see them adding 1 or 2 regionals throughout the season. I would hope 4 because there's only 12 and 16 is probably the best, the right number of regionals throughout the season. Average 1.5, or average like 1.75 regionals a month is probably the best way to do it. But we are going back to Indy for regional. Super excited. Went 2 seasons ago, so the 2020 to 2022 season. Ended up going there. Rode my motorcycle to Indy. Will not be doing that again. But super excited that we're getting Indy. Indy is my favorite venue outside of, I think Indy's just the best venue on the circuit when we get it, honestly. Like, the venue hall is super cool. The city's great. We get it a good time of year. There's a lot to do around downtown. So when you go in there, traffic isn't bad. I think Indy needs to be a staple every year, and if I can talk to the guy I know from Day 2 events that helps with the scheduling and stuff, if they can schedule Indy every year, that would be great, especially if they become the Midwest organizer for Pokemon regionals. I think Indy's a knockout of the park, and I've now finally figured out a cheap way to get into there. The reason why I rode my motorcycle from Florida to Indy was, first off, I didn't know it was a weekend I was going up that direction anyways. And two, I think Indy is just an amazing venue. I totally lost my train of thought there, guys. I don't know. I know one was like I was going up there, but Indy just in general is just it's a great city. Now that I can fly into Indy for pretty cheap or just outside Indy, it's a no-brainer to go to Indianapolis for a regional. Hopefully every year they have it. Last regional of the year is Los Angeles, LA Convention Center. I'm like 50 or I'm like 60-40. I'm probably going to go to, I'm 60% going, 40% not going, depending on how scheduling goes with Battle Spirits and this YouTube channel, how it ends up working out. But I haven't been to LA for Pokemon since 2017. It was the last regionals I did living in California. So I definitely am excited to go to the LA Convention Center. I know they did Worlds. The one we went to, I don't think it was LA Convention Center in 2017. I think it was a smaller convention center, like down the road. I think it was Anaheim. Maybe it was no, it wasn't LA Convention Center. It was Anaheim was the last one. But nonetheless, LA area, first time going back since 2017. It feels like a coming home party for me. So yes, definitely. And then international ones, trying to see if there's anything. November 25th, 26th. Nope. France, nope. It doesn't look like. Maybe if I'm going to go to any international regionals, I might do the one in Liverpool. But I don't know if that conflicts with anything else. Charlotte is the weekend before that, so maybe not. I don't really see me going to any international events other than maybe EUIC or Latin America. Looks like pricing stayed the same for it. They haven't done anything, just same points, all this stuff. So I'm a little mad about it, but let's go over, because we are at closing down an hour for this, and it sucks that I'm doing this by myself because I can't bounce it off anybody. So we just did that. Okay. Predictions. I'm gonna take my host and my co-host picks, because I'm gonna pick two, because I think it's in my thought process, I think this is it could be 50% here, 50% there. I think both of these locations have a strong chance of happening. The first one is, and this is the one it's probably more 60-40. I think that's 60% chance this one is going to happen over the other one, but there's always this possibility that the other one happens just because the way the schedule worked out. But the first one, I think Orlando will be the 2023-2024 World Championships. And reason being is not because they haven't had a regional in Florida in a while, or a Worlds in Florida for a while. It's not that they haven't had one in the South in a while. It's not because of the player base. It's not because of travel or anything like that, which all this is true. I think the big reason why they're going to be doing a 2023-2024 World Championship in Orlando is because I believe it'll be 20 years since the first Worlds ever for Pokemon. Now, Wizards of the Coast had a World Championship, but with the control of Pokemon, or since Pokemon's got control of the TCG, the competitive sphere, printing the cards, all that stuff, I think that we are going to get a 20-year anniversary of Worlds in Orlando. There's multiple reasons. Like I said, 20 years of Worlds. Easy to get to. Drive, if you're in Florida and there's a huge Pokemon community in Florida, I think I saw a stat somewhere about 15% of the Pokemon community is in Florida. That could just be something I saw that's not true, but it's something crazy like that. It's a huge number, a huge amount of competitive players live in Florida. So I think that's one thing. The second thing is Florida isn't that expensive to travel to internationally. And in the United States, it's not expensive to get flights into Orlando since there's so many flights going in and out. It's one of the biggest, most flown into airports in all the world, and especially in the United States. I know that in the United States, the most cars rented in a specific location is Orlando. So a lot of people coming in, a lot of pricing to stay in Florida isn't expensive. But the only thing that throws me for a loop when I saw the regional list, when I was 100% sure it was going to be Orlando, was that we are having a regionals at the convention center. The Orlando Convention Center is the biggest convention center in this part of the part of Florida. So I don't see them going to maybe they go to a Disney location, but I don't think Disney is going to want that because Disney is coming out with their own game, Lorcana. So I don't think they want to conflict with Pokemon with Disney. I don't know if I'm pretty sure that Universal doesn't have this a venue area size enough to support it. So the biggest area, unless they put it at Amway, I think that's the one it is. Wherever the Magic play, unless they put it into the basketball stadium for Worlds, or basketball stadium for Worlds, I could maybe see that, but it's just weird that if they are to do it in Orlando, they have to be doing it in the at the convention center, and it's the same venue hall. So I don't know if Pokemon will do that. They've done them in the same states, like regionals. There's a regional in that state, and then there's also the Worlds in that state. They did it for Tennessee, so they had Knoxville, and then Worlds was at Nashville. So it's not weird. It'd just be weird to be at the same location as a regional. And what is there? And then there's a bunch of airports. So you don't have to fly into Tampa, or you don't have to fly into Orlando. You can fly into Tampa, Sanford, Daytona. They're all within an easy drive. A lot of people are saying Miami. I don't see Miami being a location that Worlds would be at. I don't think it's kid friendly enough of a city. There's not enough for families to do. So I don't think Pokemon is going to put it into a city that's slightly geared more towards teens and old 18, 19-year-olds and older. That's why they don't have it in Vegas, because there's a lot of stuff to do in Vegas, but the city itself is not geared towards family fun. So I think a 60% chance of it being in, maybe 70% chance of it being in Orlando this year. But I can also see, just because it was super weird when I was looking at the schedule, and we'll know by the time I'm able to go talk to the guy I know from Day 2 events. But they're having the Texas Regional in San Antonio, which is super weird for me. It's always been, all the times it's been in Dallas, or this last year was Arlington. So I can see it maybe being in Dallas this year, because this coming up season, because not having a Dallas Regionals is super weird. Like Orlando, it is easy to fly into in the world, not that expensive, like one of the largest airports in the country. There's a lot of stuff to do around Dallas and in Dallas that is family friendly. the cost to go there is not that much. And especially these two locations being cheap enough, I could see them doing a lot more of this being more of a convention and an event than than a tournament, than like a regionals event type of feel, or internationals. It's more about the actual things that are going on in the event than or around the event. And because they did in Yokohama, they have all these little things going on, like parades, concerts, a cruise ship. And that would actually be pretty cool too, is if they have Orlando doing another cruise ship tournament where you get bussed from it's like a day thing, so like maybe make Worlds a lot longer. A day that a tournament's not going on, so let's say on a Thursday, you get on buses, you get shipped out to a docked cruise ship, and you play on the cruise ship like they're doing this year for Yokohama. I think Pokemon's also kind of prediction for World. Like I said, 30% Dallas, 70% sure it's going to be Florida, Orlando specifically. But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking is the protection. And I could see Pokemon saying that this event, Worlds, is going to be a week-long event. I think that's going to be another big announcement this year. It's going to say, hey, next year's Worlds is going to be in Dallas, Texas. And it's going to be from whenever, let's say, let me go to dates. Let me get a calendar up real quick. Calendar. August. Let's go here. August. Because it'll be in August. I don't think it'll be in June. And that'd be insane if it's in June. So let's say Worlds is going to be August 5th through the 11th. Or actually, I mean, this is just selfish. If Worlds was July 29th to August 4th, because August 3rd is my birthday, I would be very excited to have Worlds Day 2 on my birthday. It would be insane. But yeah, if they said like, oh, it's going to be a week-long event, we're going to be doing a regionals with regional prizing for cash and for points, because that's like the open, and then they do an open as well for Day 2 Worlds. I think that'd be pretty awesome. Maybe on like the Thursday to do, oh hey, we're gonna have a regionals with regional prizing, points, and everything. That's stuff that you usually do for regionals. But then let's say on Wednesday, or let's say Saturday, they do a special event where it's everything except for the cash. So I think that's possible. I keep hitting my microphone, guys. I'm sorry if you guys are getting that. But yeah, no. So I'm really thinking it's Orlando, but there's that possibility of it being in Dallas because of it being in San Antonio for the regionals. Unless San Antonio just has a massive venue space for the regionals, it's harder to get to. And I told you guys this one's gonna be super quick. For the last topic of the podcast, and that is my recap for the 2022-2023 Pokemon season. What I think I need to do to improve and get my World's End by next year. So I went to, let me pull up the 2022 regional schedule. Pokemon, actually I just did limitless. Limitless TCG. Or actually, nope, let's go with, what is it? RK9.GG. Cool. I can then sign in to the dashboard. Sign in with Google. Click on the right one. This one here. Cool. And then I go to my history. So, history. Spectators. Click here. Come on, internet is always so slow. But my first regional of last season was Peoria. I played Hisuian Zoroark, and I think it was positioned very well for the best decks at the time. I probably could have picked a slightly better single prize attacker to really help me with the water matchup. But I want to say it was Tornadus. Whatever one plays to the bench, and then they have to switch. So I didn't do so well. I was 522nd out of 1,085 at Peoria. And for what I went up against, I feel like I did the best I could do. The thing with Zoroark, you don't have the latitude to beat the rogue decks. So mostly the fighting stuff, because they're taking the single prize fighting stuff. It's like Zorobox and stuff like that. The more rogue stuff. It just wasn't. It wasn't gonna be. It wasn't a fun time. But I learned and took that same deck to Salt Lake City. Was it 2 weeks later? Mid-October. Played the same deck. I made some changes. I want to say it was my energy count changed. I think I added a powerful energy and took out a water energy because you Melanie on a water energy and attach powerful. I needed the extra 20 damage because we started seeing more Grujo played, but was really praying to dodge the Duraludons, and I did that. Dodged Duraludons, but just had bad draws all day. It wasn't the best situation, and then at the last round, because I count my cards in between each round. The last round, I got hurried to my last round. I wasn't really thinking about playing it anyways, giving the guy the win. Ended up playing, and then went to search for my third Zoroark. Was it Zoroark? No, it was my second Bidoof. Searched my deck, didn't find it. Played the whole thing, and ended up losing it. Flipped over my prize. I'm like, it was just game one. Looked at him like, where the heck is my Bidoof? Looked at my bag, looked at everything, couldn't find it. And every game before that, I had two Bidoofs on the field at some point. They either hit after one got knocked out, the second one came down, or both of them came down, and I was able to draw twice for 5 cards filled. So lost a Bidoof there. It was all good. Last round, ended up giving the guy the win. It actually won him a little gentleman's bet that him and his friend had, saying who's gonna do better. And I think they had like a podcast or something, or one of the dude had TikTok. And he just had to say the other dude was better than him or something like that, or maybe he was buying him dinner. I don't know. I know there was just a bet involved. And I really want to say it was just like, oh, gentleman's bet, you guys say it's better, but Salt Lake just in general was a great time. I'm sad we're not going to Salt Lake again. But then I went to Arlington, and back to history. I got it. Then we went to Arlington, which I'm used to Dallas, but this is my first time in Arlington. Venue was great. That's why I'm kind of sad we're not going back to Arlington. But went there, and it was just, I was seeing Cleaver decks. I was seeing so every deck that was meta, which was like, I beat a Lugia. I was playing Zoroark or Hisuian Zoroark again. All my meta decks, the ones that everybody was playing except for, I want to say, and I think I was just like one. I think I was boss short. I think I was prized. But everything that was meta that I played against, I crushed. Everything I beat everything that was meta, but the off meta stuff was what I had trouble with, and that's why Zoroark, I think, if I was bringing it into this season, it would be hard. It almost would be like I would have to rebuild the whole deck to still give damage, so Gabe Jogbog has to be in there. But I would have to do something that would streamline it. And I don't think anything's come out yet. It might be good later in the season, so I might think about it when I'm playing it, like for Indianapolis or for LA. But this was the last tournament that I took Zoroark to. Ended up scrubbing out, I want to say, what was my record? Let me double check my record. I want to say when I got my third loss, my girlfriend was with me. We were just started dating at the time, but I had what, 1, 2. This is Arlington. Huh? I played all 9 rounds, guys. It has been a day. So, yeah. So I ended up playing all 9, but I really didn't play all. I think I didn't play round 9. I played round 8. I didn't play round 9, but I gave her the win on that one. I think we played one game and I ended up winning that, but I gave her. I need to get over and do a bye. But yeah. So Arlington. That's the last time I played Zoroark. The next event was Knoxville. And after Arlington, I was pretty jaded with the Pokemon trading card game. But I had this thought. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's just been a bad run lately. You know, I'm switching decks. And on the way to Knoxville, I ended up buying both the Charlotte flights and the Fort Wayne flights. Just because I'm like, I'm going to go to it. You know, it's, you know, basically a month later for the other 2 events. So I bought the flights, had a blast at Knoxville, but just lost the love for Pokemon. And the one thing I want to tell you guys is when it comes to playing a trading card game or anything, if you get to a point where you're not having fun, it might not be that you don't love the thing anymore. You're not having the thing's not fun anymore. You might just need to take a step back. And around the time of Fort Wayne is when I got into Battle Spirits, and it just reinvigorated my love for Pokemon. So, went to Knoxville, did terrible there. I played a weird Lugia list that was supposed to be good because this was right before rotation. I played Lugia with a bunch of the amazing rares. And like with Kyogre in there as well to do 80 spread, so you would like hit like 120 twice, and I played Ditto with it as well because I think we had yeah, we did. So I played Ditto in there as well, and so you basically use Lugia. You get one Lugia down. You get your Archeops in play. You let them. If they're gonna take a knockout, they escape rope. You put Lugia, sacrifice it, and then what you're doing is you hit. You just stay single prizer. You hit you go Raikou 120. Then they knock out the Raikou. Then you go Ditto, and you hit 120 in the active, 120 something else on the bench, or the same dude. So then they're at what they knock that. That's 4 prizes they've taken. Then you go Ditto, and then you boss. This happened a couple times. So you boss up something that has like a Crobat or so. Crobat was before rotation. So Crobat, you do that 120, and then you hit 120 on something else, and you have 240 on 3 of the Pokemon on the bench. Or 4 of them, whatever it ended up being. And then you come in with Kyogre and you clear the whole field. You take all 6 prizes in one turn. I took 5 prizes most of the time, at least 1 of the 2 games. But it was a glass cannon. If it didn't set up, if you lost a Archeops, or if you gave them 3 prizes before you took your first 2 prizes, you're losing that matchup. It happened. I was really hoping to hit Lost Box. I hit a lot of Lost Box. It just wasn't drawn the way it was. And I found a new technique. So what I used to do is I would test, lay out the deck, re-sleeve, and then just stack it together. Now I test, keep the deck shuffled the way it is, and then re-sleeve, and then shuffle it, lay it out once, lay it out like a solitaire at once, put it back together, put it in the box, ready for the next day. So that ended up helping me out because Knoxville, terrible time for Pokemon, great time for just hanging out with friends and going to events. But Charlotte is where I feel like I did the best because I was in basically the top half of it. I thought it was 495th. Charlotte, I was 579th. But I think the guy I had a bet about being on some of these podcasts. If I placed higher than him, I think he ended up placing like 552nd or something like that. So I ended up losing the bet. But this is the first time that I took Lost Box to a tournament. I tested it with friends and stuff like that. Yeah, I learned the matchup, watched all the videos, watched people play, stuff like that. But it was the first time I played it in any sort of tournament. That includes 1Ks. We didn't have League Cups, regular store tourneys, stuff like that. I took Lost Box with me, and I'm in love with Lost Box. It's my favorite deck to ever my second favorite deck ever. First favorite deck is Archer's Choice. I have it tattooed. I'm probably getting Lost Box tattooed on my leg. So went there, and I felt good all day long. Yes, there was a couple of Lost Box games where it's just like, especially in the mirror, whoever sets up first wins. But I was playing the list I play now with, of course, a couple changes different, but with the Zamazenta, because I saw Mew getting more and more popular, and I knew I could beat the Mew, and I think I played 2 Mews. I beat them both. This is when I fell in love with Lost Box. Didn't fall in love with the game, just fell in love with the deck, or re-fell in love with the deck. Just felt really good, but felt really bad at the same time. Ended up finishing the day out. I want to say I was... clicking on it. I want to say I was like 3-3-3. What was my record? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And then 2, 2. So I was 3, 4, and 2. So I lost against. So my round 1 that week or that tournament was. I was playing against, I want to say it was like Arceus something, Arceus good stuff. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I shuffled my deck. They cut. I go pick my cards up. I go comfy follower select, grab my 2. Go to put down the 2 to see what I want, look at my hand. And and I go pick up my hand again, look at it. Go to grab the cards off the table to look at them and select, and my right pinky hits the corner of my top card. Card flips over, it's comfy, goes back. Because of my integrity, I called the judge, and I was like, because the guy's like, oh no, it's okay, don't worry about it. You're gonna be you're able to switch, because I have a way to switch into it. I know what I'm gonna get next, but I still saw it, so technically influences my decision. Call a judge, say, Judge, accidentally hit my card. We both saw the card, went back. What is it? I got a 2 prize penalty, which I think was a little harsh, and I could have appealed it. I didn't. I should have, but I got 2 prize penalty. He already took. He would then proceed to take his next 2 prizes. His next 2 turns. He needs 2 prizes. I think I took my first 2 prizes. So it's 2 to 4. He only needs to take another 2 knockouts, wins the game. I don't have enough. I did the math, didn't have enough scenes. So go to game 2, and then I have a lost box hand where I started with Comfy, go into something I can't play. I can't remember. I want to say it was like Energy. I had no colorless experience, anything like that. No battle VIP passes, stuff like that. And it was an unfortunate round 1. Round 2, I think I played the mirror. Round 3, I played the mirror. And then round 4 was my first win. I want to say that was my first of the 2 Mewtwo matchups that I beat. Ended up tying the last round. If I win, I go 4-4-1 or 4-4-1. So that would have been 13 points. Not enough to make day 2, but I probably would have top 120. Probably sent my first points. But it is what it is. And then went to Fort Wayne, which I ended up dropping everything after round 6. Because round 5, I had round 1, lost round 2, won round 3, lost round 4, lost round 5, but round 5 was because I got cheated. I'm 110% convinced that the dude cheated. Did the math out. I'm like, how'd you get that extra card in your hand? He's like, oh, I did this one. I'm like, no, that's not. He's like, oh, I did this. I'm like, no, you didn't. Call a judge over. Or I didn't call a judge over. I got up because I didn't want. Some people, you just have to kind of gauge how to tell a judge that they're cheating. This guy seemed a little unhinged. So I said, hey, dude, I got to get up, go to the bathroom, walk over to the judge. Because I had to pee a little bit anyways. Walk over to the judge. Told him the scenario. Went and peed. Came out. Judge was standing there. He wanted me to give like more detailed description of what happened. He ended up watching him. And it's just like, would be my luck, guys. Every time I looked, saw him maybe doing something, I would look at him, then look at the judge. The judge was looking away. He was watching him the whole game. But would look away at something else or answer a call. And I called judge on him 2 more times because I'm like, I just can't do this. This is frustrating. They watched him. They just missed it every time. He must have just been really good at cheating. But yeah, I got cheated round 5. That tilted me going to round 6. Lost round 6. Knocks me out of the tournament. I ended up dropping. Went and bought a bunch of cards to put in my collection. Saved for them to increase value so that I could put them up. But yeah, that was the end of my season. That really put bad taste for about 2 months into me playing Pokemon. So bad that I was like contemplating selling out of the game. But I told myself, I'm like, maybe I just need a year, a break. Maybe I need a couple years breaks from Pokemon. Just don't sell all your stuff. Don't sell all your stuff because you're going to want to play it. Because watch, you'll come back to the game, they'll have expanded, and you'll be able to play Comfy and expanded. So, I don't see that happening, guys. I don't see expanded habit coming back ever. Unless they did like a rotation for like Sun and Moon on. I don't think they, maybe XY, but there's too much interactions that are just way too complicated for the way the game is played now. And then, like I said, missed the registration for NAIC. But going to NAIC as a spectator really lit a fire in my belly to compete next season. I might not go to as many events. I think I went to 6 last season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. I might not go to 6 unless I can like somehow top where there's money involved and I can just reinvest it into traveling to another event. I don't see myself traveling as much for regionals, especially that we plan to do some live streaming for card games in general on the weekends and doing some casting from back here in Florida. Probably won't go to as many Pokemon events, but still trying to get my world's invite for next season. Like I said, hopefully we can have it here in Florida, because imagine a travel stipend, but only have to drive 45 minutes to your events for Worlds. It'd be insane. And it would be even more insane if it was Tampa instead of Orlando, because Tampa has a big enough convention center to host an event. There's never been an event there, so it'd be kind of epic to have it. But I really think Orlando is going to be where we have Worlds next year. And the thing I would suggest, or I'm suggesting to myself, and I'm going to listen to myself, and it helped me a little bit in Battle Spirits, is like, don't try to fully reinvent the wheel, but still put decks. And that's why I think I like Lost Box so much. But take the list and maybe switch out 1 or 2 cards for the meta you're thinking of doing, but don't try to add to something that's already positive. And that's what I've had problems with my Pokemon career, is that I tried to either make a completely new deck and have something named after me, or taking Lugia and adding 3 or 4 cards that don't need to be in there because they help me in some weird matchup, or I think helps me in a certain matchup, and it just isn't consistent enough to do that. It's net deck, and then maybe switch out 2 cards to fit more of my play style, being more aggressive. So like maybe take out an extra energy and add in a pal pad, or hey, it says the deck says plays 4 ultra balls, 4 quick balls, and 4 level balls. Well, I'm going to play 3 level balls and put this card in. I'm going to take out these 2 cards and put these 2 cards in, because it helps me in a matchup, but it also helps me recover when I need to. That's what I think I'm really going to start doing next season, is listening to the decks that are already established and make them, play them at these events, play them in my locals so I can get used to it, to make the best decision, and take notes. That actually really helped me in Lost Box. I have a little like, it's like an Etch-a-Sketch where I put my prizes down that I think I have, or if I heavy ball and I see that they're my prizes. Taking notes is probably the biggest improvement I'm going to have next season, is really I've gotten a lot better at doing the notes and kind of figuring out my own shorthand, but also have a shorthand that other people can understand when like a judge walks by and wants to know what your notes say. And I think next season is going to be my first time getting points. And I actually think my only goal next season is to get my World's invite. And that's all I care about. So I'll be going to cups, I'll be going to challenges. I won't be going to I won't be driving all the way around Florida, but I will go to all the ones within an hour of me. And yeah, get my World's invite, guys. Now, with that said, guys, I thank you guys for watching. I am going to, what time is it right now, because I gotta edit this. It is 3:11. So we have an hour 45 minutes until Worlds. So I'm going to edit this, upload this, and then turn on the stream for Worlds, the opening ceremonies and all that stuff, because it starts at 5 o'clock. Whoa. Actually, I'm totally off. We have 5 hours. I'm thinking 5. I know it's the Pacific Standard Time. But yeah, no, or PDT. I think that's Pacific Standard Time. I got to double check what PDT stands for. But nonetheless, Worlds is only a couple hours away. I'm going to get this rendered, get this up. Hopefully you guys are watching. You guys are probably coming over from Burbank City Facebook page. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this content, and if you're not just a Pokemon fan and you like a ton of other card games, you want to learn about other card games, we're going to be doing stuff for Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, One Piece. We have Battle Spirits already up. We're doing Dragon Ball Super card game, which that's gonna be interesting because of their announcement of the 2 different types of card games. But we'll let that podcast do it. Lorcana, basically anything that has a substantial, can have a tournament that's 200 people or more consistently. We're gonna be covering on Boss TCG, your home for competitive TCG news and content. Again, if you guys are looking to be a part of a platform that covers a ton of different games, especially like I said, I'm looking for 2 people at the most to run this podcast. Like I said, I want to walk a step away. I'll pop in and out to be a third or be their backup. But I'm looking for co-hosts. So hit me up at bosstcgmedia@gmail.com. Link will be in the description. Email will be in the description. Send me a message. We'll get on a Discord call. We'll talk, and then hopefully get one of you guys on here. And if you guys know anybody else that maybe doesn't, they play Pokemon competitively, but maybe they just don't watch a lot of YouTube content about Pokemon. Who knows? And you think they'd be great as a personality for Pokemon? Hey, tell them to email me or email me saying, hey, reach out to this person. And if you guys are considered pro players, we'd really enjoy you guys come along too, because there are some benefits of being part of Boss TCG. It isn't just, hey, this is to get exposure. There's a plan to actually make this a legit media company. Yeah, if you guys like this content, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next one. You guys all stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you later.